our boy Elon Musk.
Our boy
has been
Elon.
in the news a little bit.
Elon's in the news, really?
Yeah, I can't
He's
believe
never
it.
in the news.
If
dude.
you had to guess where he said something to get caught in the news, what would you guess?
Probably either LinkedIn or I'm gonna go with TikTok because he's usually on TikTok, right?
Yeah, he's definitely
For
over there
sure.
on TikTok.
No, he probably tweeted.
Of course, he tweeted.
Yeah, he
Let's be
tweeted.
real, which is
So-
always yeah.
What did he tweet?
My favorite part about Elon tweeting is his tweets are never that long, and the amount of articles I read about this one single tweet being pages and pages long. It's incredible how little he can say and how
60
much
characters
the
and
media
how much he can
come up.
write.
Yeah, it's
That's yeah. I kind of we were sort of in the middle of this when we first did that Elon interview, and he was in the middle of like a whole bunch of other Twitter. It wasn't even the funding secured tweet. It was some other tweets before that.
No,
and,
that
like,
was
like literally like you can pick 2 tweets of his, and there's probably like an encyclopedia written about like the implications of the companies he runs. What did he tweet this
Let
time?
me find the exact tweet. This is the tweet. Nuke Mars! Explanation point.
Oh, he's talked about that.
Oh, he's talked about it before, but he's bringing it up again.
He's changed it. First of all, he changes his profile picture like every day.
Yeah, it's like,
but it was that for a second too.
It was new. Right now, it is a metal dragon holding a sphere.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, to be honest, but it did say Nuke Mars for a bit. So if I'm remembering correctly, he's talked about if you had to move humanity to Mars, the first thing you'd have to do is stabilize the temperature to something Earth-like. And right now, Mars is a little too volatile, so you nuke the poles and something bring the temperature down.
Yeah, that's the super brief way of explaining it. We're going to go a tad more in-depth, which is probably still like 2% of in-depth of what this could be about. We are not scientists by any means.
Disclaimer.
So I'm going to try and... I read a lot about it yesterday. I'm going to attempt to explain it a little better.
Okay, I'm excited. Go for it.
So he first mentioned this about 3 years ago, actually on Stephen Colbert's late night TV show, which was hilarious because Colbert was asking him about, you have billions of dollars and you're doing things to the planet. Are you a superhero or are you a villain? And after his Nuke Mars statement, villain seemed to be the consensus.
That's a great answer to that question.
So everything I've read is that essentially... yes, Mars is too cold. At like certain times in the summer, it can reach up to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, really?
But for the most part, in the winter, at night, it's like negative 100. I think the average is like negative 50.
I only know that I used to be a huge space nerd. I know that Mercury, when facing the sun, is like way too hot. And then right when you cross into the shadow on the other side, it's way too cold. I know that about Mercury. There's no atmosphere on that planet, so it's kind of rough.
I don't know how atmosphere is measured exactly, but I believe that Mars is like 1% of Earth's atmosphere.
Oh, not much of an atmosphere. I mean, you have to have an atmosphere to stabilize temperature. Mercury is so close to the sun that it's just burnt up, and if you're in the sun, you're getting roasted, and if you're on the other side, you've lost all your heat.
Yeah.
It's not holding anything in. The atmosphere holds the heat in. Earth has some atmosphere problems, you know? People talk about that all the time, so I guess the next logical thing is to mess with Mars's atmosphere.
Yeah, so pretty much if the difference on Mars is that the poles, the ice isn't made out of just water, it's made out of a lot of carbon dioxide. So if we nuke the poles, we're essentially
releasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Into the atmosphere, creating a greenhouse gas effect and potentially starting to warm it. It's not like nuke the poles, oh my god, it's warm, I can wear a bathing suit outside, kind of like
it's not that easy.
Potentially starting to warm the planet up, which could start letting microorganisms start to develop. And then we all know microorganisms, they feed on carbon dioxide,
release oxygen into the atmosphere.
Exactly.
So it's kind of you don't know how many variables there are in something like this, but it's kind of well thought out. You have a planet that's cold and uninhabitable, but you have lots of gases to contribute to the greenhouse effect. Now, when you say nuke, does he mean literally like fly a rocket with nukes in it, crash into the pole, explode?
I don't. So what he said on the original interview was the way of doing that is thermonuclear weapons. You didn't exactly describe how. I think he recently tweeted something along the lines of. Let me see if I can find it. he had a follow-up tweet recently that says Nuke Mars refers to a continuous stream of very low fallout nuclear fusion explosions above the atmosphere to create artificial suns. Much like our sun, this would not cause Mars to become radioactive.
Oh.
So even just that is a lot different than originally kind of thinking what he said.
It's wild what this guy thinks about. Like the fact that he's thought about, wow.
Yeah.
So, don't nuke Mars because then it becomes radioactive. Nuke right above the atmosphere, create a whole lot of radiation that doesn't make it in, but makes like an artificial sun that melts the caps and then releases the carbon dioxide and then creates microorganisms and then makes oxygen in the atmosphere and warms it up. And then we can live there.
Yeah. If all that
Flawless
goes to plan. Yeah, there's definitely absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's not hundreds and hundreds of comments on Reddit talking about how dumb of an idea this is and how it'll never work. So as a non-scientist, it sounds totally reasonable.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are a million variables as to why this would never work.
As someone who's followed what Elon's done for a long time, I find it very difficult to bet against him actually making something happen that he's legitimately putting money into. Once he starts putting money into it, like I feel like that's a legitimate claim. But if the second he puts a date on it, I can bet that he will not do it by that date. So if he said, we're going to nuke Mars by 2022 and we're going to have it habitable by 2025, I would say he's going to do it. It's just not going to happen until 2030. But if there's no date and there's no money in it yet, it's just kind of a good idea.
Yeah, well, so he's selling T-shirts. So is this kind of
it's just merch for Tesla? Oh, it's just
that,
merch.
or is it a boring company flamethrower raise money for tunnel kind of thing?
It's not really connected to any one company yet. I guess SpaceX could sort of claim it.
I think SpaceX is the one selling the T-shirt.
The funny thing is SpaceX is doing the best out of any of Elon's companies financially, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm not aware of which is doing the best.
I mean, car companies haven't done great for a while, but they're just sort of teetering around like sustainable, where SpaceX is actually doing great.
Okay.
So if I were to imagine an Elon company needing to fundraise, I would not have guessed SpaceX, but
I also
you know
can't imagine how many T-shirts you would have to sell in order to nuke Mars.
Yeah, that's a lot of T-shirts. You got to either sell very expensive T-shirts or a lot of T-shirts.
I think they're $25, so I guess they're trying to sell a lot of them.
So a good couple million T-shirts will take care of that just well. Nice.